Checker taxi. The checker taxi became one of the most recognizable taxi cars in American history, especially in cities like New York and Chicago. Built by the Checker Motors Corporation, the car was designed specifically for taxi service rather than private ownership. Its boxy shape gave passengers far more interior space than most normal cars of the time, making it practical for crowded urban streets. Drivers appreciated how durable and easy to repair it was, and many Checkers remained in service for decades. Over time, the car became closely tied to the image of old American city life, appearing constantly in films, television, and photographs. Ford Model T taxi. During the early 1900s, the Ford Model T helped make taxi transportation more affordable and widespread. Before the Model T, taxis were usually expensive and mostly available to wealthy passengers. Ford's mass production system lowered costs dramatically, allowing taxi companies to operate larger fleets. The car itself was simple, lightweight, and relatively easy to maintain. In many cities around the world, the Model T became one of the first taxi vehicles ordinary people could regularly use for transportation. Austin FX3. The Austin FX3 became a familiar sight on London streets after World War II. Built specifically for taxi work, the car featured a tall roof and large passenger compartment, designed for comfort and practicality. One unusual detail was its separate luggage area next to the driver, which allowed passengers to keep more space inside the cabin. The FX3 also reflected the classic black cab shape that later became strongly associated with London itself. Its design focused more on function and durability than speed or style. Austin FX4. Introduced in 1958, the Austin FX4 eventually replaced the FX3 and became one of the longest-serving taxi designs ever created. The car introduced 4 passenger doors and improved comfort while still keeping the traditional London taxi appearance. Drivers valued its tight turning circle, which helped navigate narrow city streets and busy traffic. The FX4 remained in service for decades, with various updates and engine changes, becoming deeply connected to British urban culture and tourism. Citroën Traction Avant taxi. The Citroën Traction Avant served as a taxi in several European cities during the 1930s and 1940s. Unlike many older cars of its era, it used front-wheel drive and a low body design that improved stability and handling. These engineering choices made the car feel more modern compared to traditional taxi vehicles at the time. In France especially, the Traction Avant became associated with everyday city life during difficult historical periods, including World War II. Mercedes-Benz W123 taxi. The Mercedes-Benz W123 became legendary as a taxi because of its reliability and longevity. Produced during the 1970s and 1980s, the car was especially popular in Germany, the Middle East, and parts of Africa. Many taxi operators chose it because the diesel engines could survive extremely high mileage with proper maintenance. Passengers appreciated the smooth ride and solid construction, while drivers often kept the same vehicle in service for many years. Even today, old W123 taxis are remembered for their durability and classic appearance. Peugeot 404 taxi. The Peugeot 404 worked extensively as a taxi across Europe and Africa during the 1960s and 1970s. It became respected for handling rough roads and hot climates better than many competing cars. In several African countries, the 404 remained active long after production ended because parts were relatively easy to repair locally. Its balanced suspension and dependable engine made it suitable for both urban streets and long-distance travel between towns. Hindustan Ambassador. The Hindustan Ambassador became one of India's most famous taxi cars. Based partly on an older British design, the car entered production in the late 1950s and stayed on Indian roads for decades. Taxi versions were especially common in cities like Kolkata, where the yellow Ambassador taxi became an iconic part of daily life. The car offered soft suspension and spacious seating, making it comfortable even on rough roads. Although newer vehicles eventually replaced it, the Ambassador remained deeply tied to India's transportation history. Toyota Crown Taxi. The Toyota Crown served as a dependable taxi in Japan and several Asian countries for many years. Japanese taxi companies preferred the Crown because it balanced passenger comfort with mechanical reliability. The car's conservative styling also reflected the professional image expected in Japanese taxi services. Over time, specially designed taxi versions included features such as automatic doors for passengers and improved accessibility for elderly riders. The Crown became a symbol of organised and highly efficient urban transportation in Japan. Volkswagen Beetle Taxi. The Volkswagen Beetle worked as a taxi in several countries, most famously in Mexico City. Its compact size made it useful for crowded streets and narrow traffic lanes. Although the small interior limited passenger space compared to larger taxis, the Beetle's affordability and mechanical simplicity helped taxi operators reduce operating costs. The green and white Beetle taxis of Mexico City eventually became internationally recognizable and remained active until stricter regulations forced them out of service. Nissan Cedric Taxi. The Nissan Cedric became another important taxi vehicle in Japan during the late 20th century. Designed with durability and comfort in mind, it was commonly used by professional taxi companies in large cities. The upright body shape made entering and exiting easier for passengers, especially older customers. Inside, the layout focused on practicality rather than luxury, reflecting the professional standards of Japanese public transportation. Plymouth Fury Taxi. The Plymouth Fury served as a taxi in several American cities during the 1960s and 1970s. Its large body and strong V8 engine made it suitable for carrying passengers comfortably through expanding urban areas. Many taxi companies preferred full-size American sedans during this period because they could survive constant daily use while offering generous rear seating. The Fury represented an era when American taxis were larger, heavier, and more powerful than many modern city cars.